Hey there, guys, and welcome to another episode of the MH Performance Podcast. I'm your host, Miles Harrison. And today, guys, I thought I'd give you something a little bit different in regards to, I'm actually going to show you the model that I kind of use with my clients when clients first sign up to me. So you guys can get a little bit of an understanding of how I work with my clients. And if you do want to work with me, what the kind of stuff that we will be going through and what we will be working with. So if you guys are ready for that, let's get straight to it. So generally, when I first start with a client and stuff like that, the first thing that I think is really, really important is getting a good history intake. And the reason why I think that's so important because the the closer I get to an idea of what your life is and what your life has been, the better I can make. I said better, right? The results I can have, but the better the plan I can make for it, because life has so many curveballs in it that sometimes we can't plan for. So it's not always something that we can kind of just systematically put into place. But also as well, like it might give me a little less bumps along the road. So first of all, I think an intake is massively important, and we're going to talk about stuff like obviously general history, things that you like, things that you don't like, exercises that you like, exercises that you don't like. When it comes to things like nutrition, we're going to be talking about foods like allergies, of what foods do you like, what times do you eat, when do you get to eat, what preference of food. The general stuff that you expect a PT will take from you and all that. But like, God, I remember when I first started doing PT nearly 8 years ago now, like the way that I used to do things compared to the way I do now, it almost feels like I don't not follow a structure, but it almost feels a little bit more freer. I used to be just very much like every single client had to have the exact same approach. And it's nowhere near like that right now because I realize that everyone is so different from each other. Even if they generally live under the same roof, they do the same things now and then. Like everyone's going to respond to different things. So we need to make sure that the preparation, the tasks that we give, the jobs that we're going to be doing, make sure that we are very specific. Yeah, I say quite specific to the person in front of me and stuff. So we go with that. And I generally, when I go through a consultation with a client or when I have a general chat with a client, there's this MH performance model that I've also got on my screen right here that I get people involved with. And we're going to go through that now. So the first thing I generally get to go through people is the vision and goals. Now, I'm not expecting you to come to me with your 6 month, 1 year, whatever it is, goal in mind. I just want you to have an idea of what you want. And I'm going to try to explore that to a more emotional reasoning. And the reason why I do that is because I think like when people first come to me, they generally go, right, I want to lose weight. I want to get better for my sport. And that surface level logic. And I think once you start going a little bit deeper, you start to go into a little bit of emotions, you could get a better answer. And for some clients, that takes 10 minutes. For some clients, that takes forever. And some clients, I'm still trying to figure it out right now. But you get my idea. There's a deeper meaning to everyone's goals, a different meaning to the way I do stuff that I'm very aware of as well. But then it's like you might do stuff that triggers emotions that you might not even be aware of. So I think that's really, really good as well. And then when it comes to the clarity and motivation side of that is understanding what gets you going, what gets you pushing around and all this. Like, is it your family? Is it kids? Is the fact that you're on the bench all the time and you want to push yourself in your sport? Like, what's the pain behind that that pushes you to go forward? And then once we've got all through that, and I get you signed on, you get yourself signed on to the service, the app that we use and stuff like that. The first session that I generally go to, and obviously, generally I'm going to be speaking more term in person because that's mostly what I do. If it's online, then there might be a little bit of a difference towards it, but we're generally going to be talking about in-person services. And this one's going to be a performance assessment, performance assessment and stuff like that. Generally, all training is assessment. You don't really need a standardized assessment. You probably heard of things like the FMS, which is like a quite standard PT assessment, which is generally things like ankle mobility, hip mobility, all that fun stuff. But what I quite like to get people to do on their first session is just move. I like to just see what they would do if I were to just give them their training program. And I'm not written a training program at the moment, but from the basis of the things that they've told me and the things that they want to do and the things that they want to get to, I'll have an idea. And generally, I'll categorize these kind of movements. I'll do things like a squat pattern, and I'll do a hip hinge pattern, a rowing pattern, a pressing pattern, and just see how they move and see how you guys respond to it. There might be something in my mind that I want to give you, and you just go, this just do not agree with me. That could be due to pain. It could be down to preference. And then I've just got to go, Sam, this person doesn't like this whatsoever. I'm just going to remove it completely from the program, and I'm going to get you a. Sometimes we might have a conversation and I might go, the reason why you don't like it is because, well, you're quite rather bad at it. So we need to get you to improve on it, because in order for you to achieve X, we need you to get better at Y. And in order to do Y, we need to do Y more often. So that's the kind of thing and stuff. It's not like a get my ruler out, get my protractor out, test angles and stuff like that as well. Like, again, it's just me seeing you move and all that. And alongside of that, we're going to do things like photographs. We're going to be doing some measurements, especially if you're a fat loss client, just because you got a good starting point. And also as well, if we ever do photographs and measurements in between times of our sessions, I like to teach you the ways that I would like you to do it, because in that way we could be consistent with it. We can get the same result with it. If you got any questions about it, I can answer it there and there. All that fun stuff. And from that point, it starts to build a baseline for us to work on. Because again, if you know where you stand regarding certain movements, and we have that kind of conversations about it, that's when the program really starts to get built from. Not from me creating exercises and putting it into a sheet. It is from the conversations that we have about where you are right now. In order to understand where you want to go, you need to know where you are right now. So that's the reason why we do something like this. And then I do this with some clients, and then I don't do it with some clients. But the second session is a goal setting session. Now you might be thinking, we've pretty much done that with the consultation. And I like to go a little bit deeper into that with some clients. Reason being because sometimes we get asked 1,000 questions and I'm pestering you going, why? It might be overwhelming. You might have to go away and almost think of a better answer than the one that you had before. And also as well, like you might find that when we have to do the assessments and more conversations that we type of have, we might find that like, you know what, you actually don't want to achieve this thing that you first came to. You want to achieve this. So we then need to start creating a plan around that. And from that, we can talk about stuff around the training. We can talk things about nutrition, which we probably haven't talked about much in this episode yet, but we can go through things like calorie targets, macronutrients. We do some kind of strategy around that. I'm going to be bringing an episode quite shortly about what I would do with a fat loss phase regarding a muscle building phase or weight gain phase, whatever you want to call it. So tune in for that. But we could talk about strategies on things. I can give you some way of tracking your calories. So that can be things like photographs, weighing your food, batch cooking, all that fun stuff and all that. And then we can go deeper into your lifestyle. What's your day looking like? Like, when do you eat? How much movements do you get and all that? Where's the weakest point within your day that might trigger off a thing that we don't want to do? Let's say potentially harmfully snacking. Snacking. There we go. When's the day we can get training sessions in as well? So we can then have a rough agreement on what's something that I like to call your worst case scenario. So I'm a big believer in, if we create some non-negotiables and then from there go, right, on your worst case scenario, how many workouts can we do? How many steps can we do? What's your nutrition things that we can do? Then every day above that is a plus. We're getting better than what we plan to do, which is always great for things like motivation, drive, and all the other stuff that get us to push us more towards that goal. If we set a target too high, from my experience with my clients, that's when people probably get most derailed and then usually fall off the plan because it's too hard. Like, the plan that I created and the plan that is actually executed are two completely different things. So yeah, so we build on all those things as well. And from there, we move on to the other parts of the model, which is obviously physical training, strength and conditioning. So that's the program. Now, I generally do phases of 6 to 8 weeks, not because of any scientific reasons or backing behind it. 6, 8 weeks, 2 months is usually for me a good time for progress to happen. It's enough time for you to see what the results of all the hard work you've done is done. Now, once we do a 2 month, we usually do something like a 2 month review. And this is usually where we do things like photographs, we do measurements, we have a sit down and we talk about all the things we've done well and all the things we haven't done well in the past. And then, based on those results, are we happy with results? Do we need to change our results? Do we need to change anything about the program? And we could go from there. Now, when I say change things about the program, I don't just mean I just give you a bunch of exercises. My programming design is I'm trying to make a program for your ideal week. And then based on conversations, based on things that happen in life, I will adapt and change that as many times as I need to. That's my whole point of being a coach. Like, it's not there just to give you a kick-up plan and see you in a few weeks' time, a few months' time. Like, the whole point of me is to have me when you need me. The quicker you can ask questions, the quicker you can get those answers. And I'm a big believer in that. So that's why I try to make myself relatively available wherever I can. And if changes to the program need to happen, whether that's life circumstances, an injury, if you play sports, you get a lot more minutes and we need to change volume and stuff like that. We need to do that when it happens, not in a couple of weeks' time. But for some clients who like that kind of almost like a reset point, that's when they kind of every 2 month reviews really come into it. But in between those times, these are the things I'm expecting you to do. I'm obviously expecting you to do your training program, standards that, some form of tracking of your nutrition. That doesn't mean blowing out MyFitnessPal, you need to track every gram to the gram, but it might start off with photographs. It might start off with notes. It might start off with tracking with the app. Like, the idea of it is just to be aware of everything that is going around your life. Because, like I mentioned before, in order for you to know where you want to go, you need to know where you are right now, and we need to build awareness. I think 9 times out of 10 when people or clients come to me, the first thing that usually gets them a step forward is the awareness of what they are doing right now. The quicker we can do that, the quicker the changes we can make. Cool. And then that leads on to things like the mindset and habits. Like, I think to myself as a quite positive person. I try to look at the best things as I possibly can. And I try to install that onto my clients. Like, if I've started to notice that things like language, like, and I get it, not everyone can be positive all the time. And I'm definitely not one of those anti-negative type of person. There are definitely times where I can be negative. But if I start noticing that you're creating a lot of your language around negative wording, I will bring that up and we will challenge it together. And the reason why I think that's so important, because if you're saying a lot of things that are downplaying you, that is going to work into your life. That is going to make actions so much harder for you. So it'll probably put like kind of more like self-worth down on you as well. So we need to make sure that we are being constantly aware of not only the things that we are doing, whether that's workout, exercises, and movement, but also the words that are coming out of our mouth. I'm a massive big believer in stuff like that as well. And then that's generally the long-term development, really. Like, we are always training, we're always assessing, and in between those periods, we're always having conversations that allows us to constantly grow and adapt. And the good thing about doing this now for just shy of 8 years, next month will be my 8th year of being a PT. Like, every person that I've worked with, when we follow this kind of plan, gets these best results. And you probably noticed I've not said anything super specific. I'm not going, right, we need to do 3 workouts a week, or we need to do this and all that. Don't get me wrong, like, there are some consistently patterns. People who generally train a lot, people who move a lot, people who have the best diets tend to do really well. People who generally think and breathe what they need to do in order to get results generally do the best. And these clients come from a range. These clients can be parents, these clients can be young athletes, these clients can be athletes who just retired and they want to go to something else. Like, there's no democratic to it. But if we keep applying those kind of principles to the MH performance model that I've just spoke about, then generally, yes, the results will come. It's just a matter of time and it's a matter of patience. So, and that's it, guys. Like, that's a kind of a short description of my business. I'm a very, when it comes to my PT style, like, I'm not a very much like a super set in stone guy. Like, I adapt to the person that's right in front of me. Yes, I have my principles and my ways of thinking and the way that I apply myself as an athlete. I think going into it, really, me playing sports and being a very competitive athlete really helps me out when it comes to doing what I do regarding my business. Kind of lost my train of thought there and all that. Yeah, I've what was I talking about? God, I bloody lost my train of thought talking about me again and all that. But yeah, anyway, but that's it. All right, coaches now. So yeah, so like, when it comes, this is the thing about coaching. Like, I will research a lot of stuff, you know, like, just because I enjoy it. I want to improve on it myself as well, improve it for my clients. But none of that really matters unless it works for the person that's in front of me. And that person can be very different from day to day, hour to hour, and stuff like that. And we have to learn and adapt. And again, the best clients that learn and adapt along the way, because I love to teach them, I love to get them involved with stuff and as well. We sometimes do communities where we go out for coffees as well. Like, the more I can try to see if I can get this client into the lifestyle is usually the ones that usually do the best results. So yeah. So hopefully, guys, you listening to this episode today and all that, like, if you like the sound of how I work and how I think and talk about and usually muggle up my words, I've got more than 2 syllables in it, then the best way of it's talking to me is just by messaging me, going on my website, social media. These are the best ways to contact me and stuff like that. And the thing is, if you've got a general question and you're not interested about coaching, I'm just here to help. Like, the more that I feel like I can help someone, the better I feel like I do my job, regardless of whether you're a client or not. Like, I got into fitness because, one, I wanted to be the better version of myself, whether that's in sports and who I am. And the reason why I became a PT/coach, whatever you want to call it, because I want to push that passion onto other people. I love seeing people progress. I love seeing people where they were rubbish at it at first and now they're really pushing on it and they can see that improvement. Like, the amount of identity that I've seen clients go through when it changed from this person who didn't really want to go into the gym and thought, the gym was just for big, strong men, to doing things like Olympic lifting. Like, it's such an rewarding thing for me and stuff like that. And if you really want to be a part of that process, by all means, join us, because I would be more than happy to have you along there, guys. But anyway, just want to say thank you very much for listening to this episode of the MH Performance Podcast. We are nearly there at the 50 point. I can't believe I've been doing this for that long. It's been a good task, but the aim is still 100, guys. 100 episodes of the MH Performance Podcast. Anyway, if you did enjoy this episode of the podcast and you kind of like these episodes more, where I'm more talking about my flow, my business, the way I kind of run things, by all means, just let me know and stuff like that. And if you've got any questions, by all means, hit me wherever you can. But anyway, thank you very much for listening, guys. I'll see you all in the next one.